Aaron Rodgers, supposedly one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and thought by some to be the best quarterback to ever play the game. But to that I say, how could you make an argument saying a quarterback is the best quarterback of all time and he only has one Super Bowl win? Now, this makes me think, if Rodgers was good enough to actually win a Super Bowl, you would think that he would have won multiple in his 18 years in the NFL. This leads me to believe that it's an indisputable fact that the only reason that Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl in 2011 was because of one factor and one factor alone: luck. And that's why in this video I'll be putting asterisks all over Aaron Rodgers' fraudulent season leading up to his only Super Bowl victory, and of course his lucky playoff run and his counterfeit Super Bowl victory. So, where to start? Oh, it's the Packers. That's easy. Every single Packers season, game, and play are fraudulent, as the refs are in Green Bay's pocket, on Green Bay's salary, and on the Packers team. Need proof? A tweet from Jared Goff reads, after the Week 17 coin toss, I saw Rodgers go over to a group of refs and say, no interception from me today, right boys? Same as usual. Aaron then reached into his pants and brought out a bag of weed and handed it to the ref saying, this that OG Kush Gash, thanks again. What the fuck? The Packers. I mean, with watching all the Packers games, seeing the refs in their pockets, and this direct tweet from Jared Goff, how much more proof do you need? Starting off with the regular season, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers only played 6 games against teams that made the playoffs out of their 16-game schedule. That sounds pretty easy to me. And in those 6 games against teams that made it to the playoffs, their record was 3-3. You would think that the apparent best quarterback of all time and the best team in the league that year would have won all those games. This confirms that the 2010 Packers were frauds and their Super Bowl win was only luck, as they couldn't even win 6 games against playoff teams during the regular season. And again, only 6 out of their 16 games that season were against teams that made it to the playoffs. That's so fraudulent. If 13 or 14 out of their 16 games that season were against teams that made it to the playoffs that season, then maybe I'd consider saying their season wasn't fraudulent. But only 6? The regular season handed the Packers their playoff spot before the season even started. Starting out in week 1, the fraudulent Packers took on the Eagles without their starting quarterback, Kevin Kolb. Instead, the Packers had to go up against Michael Vick, who hadn't started an NFL game in over 4 years. If Kevin wasn't injured or Michael Vick had had more experience, the Packers lose this game 99 out of 100 times. And not to mention that Aaron Rodgers had an easy game against a bottom 10 defense in points per game allowed. I mean, come on, it doesn't get more free than that. Continuing the season, the Packers had another free win against one of the worst defenses and worst teams in the NFL that season, the Buffalo Bills. Sure, being 2-0 looks good, feels good, whatever, but a true Hall of Famer quarterback like Patrick Mahomes wouldn't stoop to such levels and take the first 2 games of the season winning like this. For week 3, there's no asterisks needed. The Packers were exposed by the Bears. Aaron Rodgers got taken down by Jay Cutler. Talk about embarrassing. In week 4, Aaron Rodgers barely beat the winless Lions. Talk about a free win that you barely got. It's also important to include that at this point in the season, Aaron Rodgers had already thrown 5 interceptions in 4 games. Yeah, that's my MVP for sure. In week 5, the Packers continued to get exposed. Rodgers threw another interception and only put up 13 points in their loss against a bottom 10 defense. Rodgers then continued on the L streak, losing to the Dolphins. After a free win against the Vikings, Aaron Rodgers beat the Jets in week 8, 9-0. Talk about a free win. Rodgers only completed 15 of his 34 passes, 44% completion rate. And to make it even worse, Rodgers played that bad with the Jets not having their top corner, Darrelle Revis. Well, you probably noticed by now that the Packers had a damn good defense in 2010. I mean, they shut out the Jets. And you're right, they had the #1 defense in 2010. And it's weird, Rodgers has had 6 top 10 defenses, 4 top 5 defenses, but he's only won the Super Bowl when he had the #1 defense that season. The Packers then beat the Cowgirls, which isn't saying much, just another free win for them. They then get another free win against the terrible Vikings, and then got exposed once again by another playoff caliber team. The Packers then got a free win against the 49ers, and I chalked this one up as a free win as well. The 49ers knew they didn't have to try in this game because it wasn't the divisional round of the playoffs. Then Aaron Rodgers and the Packers lost 7-3 against the Lions. But sadly, this is the one game where Rodgers gets an excuse as he went down with an injury. But you know what? I take that back. He almost played the full first half of this game without putting up any points. And we all know that if Rodgers played this full game, the Lions were taking this dub, whether he liked it or not. And to cap off the regular season, the Packers barely snuck by the Bears. Rodgers, again, thanks to his #1 ranked defense, only had to score more than 3 points to win this game. And now we're getting to the playoffs, and this is where it gets good. If you still think the Packers, Rodgers, and the refs' 2010 Super Bowl is still credible even after this fraudulent regular season, your mind is about to be changed. If you just look up 2010 Rodgers Super Bowl, this is the first article that comes up, remembering Aaron Rodgers' magical run through the 2010 playoffs. This proves that I'm not alone. People see Aaron Rodgers' playoff run and Super Bowl win in 2010, and they just can't believe it. They refer to it as magical. Magic. That's how blown away everyone is. To start out the playoffs in the first round, the Packers took on the Eagles. And oh boy, did Aaron Rodgers get gifted this win. To start off, Daniel Akers, kicker for the Eagles, had made 32 of his 38 field goals this season, but was 1 for 3 in the playoffs against the Packers, missing from 41 yards out early in the first quarter and 34 yards out early in the fourth. If he just makes one of those 2 field goals he misses, the Eagles win this game. Then with 6 minutes left in the game, Vic took a hard hit to his knee and had to play the rest of the game injured. Then with 41 seconds left in the game, Vic goes to the end zone and is intercepted. Vic and the Eagles had the ball at the 27-yard line, only down by 5 with 41 seconds left, and Vic threw an interception. Once again this season, the Packers defense bailed out Aaron Rodgers. And if Akers would have been able to make one of the 2 field goals he misses, the Eagles would have only been down by 2, 21-19. They would have been able to run the rest of the timeout and kick a game-winning field goal. And remember, Vic's knee was bugging him after that injury. Aaron Rodgers had his teammates intentionally hurt Vic. It's guaranteed. There's no way he didn't. If Vic isn't injured there, he definitely makes a better throw there on 1st and 10 to the end zone. It's definitely a touchdown, and maybe he doesn't even go to the end zone. Maybe he makes a better decision, but because of his injury, he wasn't himself. And the last thing from this game is Aaron Rodgers had 3 drives with the lead, 1 at the end of the 3rd quarter and 2 in the 4th quarter, and on all 3, he punted. And on those 3 drives, Rodgers led his team to a net total yards of 35 yards from 3 drives. There was 3 reasons why Rodgers and the Packers won this game. Number 1, Akers missed 2 field goals. Number 2, Rodgers' defense bailed them out all game. Their secondary was crazy good. And number 3, Vic throws an interception on 1st and 10 with 41 seconds left in the end zone. Just straight luck. If he's not injured there, that's a touchdown and Philly wins this game every time. If you're wondering how I know that, I just know. Rodgers' luck continued as he took down the Falcons in the divisional round of the playoffs 48-21. Some people like to say that this is just one of the best performances by any quarterback of all time. This is just the best game ever. Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT, but it's not. His defense once again helped him out a ton. After both teams scored 2 touchdowns, it was tied 14-14 in the 2nd quarter. Matt Ryan threw 2 interceptions, and late in the game, the Falcons fumbled the ball 2 possessions in a row. 2.5 minutes till halftime, game tied at 14. Matt Ryan throws it up and Traymon Williams makes an incredible interception in which Rodgers turns into a touchdown. But hey, let's be real here. Is this a great throw or a great catch? I think we both know the answer. But don't worry, Rodgers gets bailed out once again before halftime. There's 11 seconds left. Matt Ryan's just out of field goal range, and Traymon Williams picks off Matt Ryan once again for a 70-yard touchdown return to extend the Packers' lead to 28-14 at halftime. The game was tied at 14, and Matt Ryan and the Falcons were just outside the red zone, and just like that, a 14-point swing because of the Packers defense. The Packers defense bailed out Rodgers even more as Matt Ryan fumbled on 3rd and 1 at midfield early in the 4th, and Michael Jenkins, after securing the first down on 4th and 1, fumbled the ball away. People say Rodgers played the best game of all time. He played all right. The Packers defense deserves MVP for this game. They deserve MVP for all the playoff games and the whole regular season. Out of the 48 points scored by the Packers, 20 of them were off of Falcon turnovers, and 7 were scored by the Packers defense. The Falcons were the #1 seed in the NFC, going 13-3 during the regular season, and had a first-round bye and played the Packers at home. but were no match, not for Aaron Rodgers, but were no match for the Green Bay defense. Now for the NFC Championship game against the Bears. Where do I start? Well, first off, the Bears were shut out through the first 3 quarters of this game. 10 minutes left in the second quarter, down by 14, Jay Cutler overthrew a touchdown. Then with 2 minutes left in the second quarter on 3rd and 7 was stripped of the ball. Then with 41 seconds until halftime across midfield, Cutler threw an interception. Cutler left to the locker room with 30 seconds left in the second half after that interception, and then did not play the second half of this game due to injury. After the game, he had an MRI and it was revealed that he had a sprained MCL in his left knee, and people criticized him for not coming back out onto the field and playing injured. Backup Caleb Haney came out into the field, led his team to a touchdown, but then threw a pick 6 with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then at the 29-yard line, 4th and 4, 44 seconds remaining, Caleb Haney threw the game away. I mean, what'd you expect? It was Caleb Haney and Jay Cutler going up against the #1 defense in the league. Rodgers, on the other hand, was quite embarrassing, completing 17 of 30 for 244 yards, but throwing 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Led his team to only 14 points, bailed out by his defense again, and led his team to 0 points in the second half. Rodgers had 12 drives in this game, including the end of the half and the end of the game, and only led his team to 2 scoring drives out of 12. And lastly, for the notorious Super Bowl. It wouldn't have been a 2010 or 11 Aaron Rodgers win if his defense didn't carry him to it, as the defense found the end zone once again. And with 4.5 minutes left in the second quarter, across midfield, Roethlisberger was picked off again. In the first play of the fourth quarter, Mendenhall fumbled the ball just outside the red zone as the Steelers were down by 4. The Steelers were also without their Pro Bowl center Marquise Pouncey and lost multiple players due to injury during the game and had multiple players playing on injuries. As you can see, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers' 2010-11 regular season and playoff run and Super Bowl victory was all fraudulent. And the real MVP was the Packers defense, scoring in 3 out of the 4 playoff games and making multiple game-winning plays. So NFL Comish, I assume you're watching, and this is a message just for you. If you want to take back all the 2010-11 Lombardis, I don't blame you, just maybe send one over my way. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. If you guys enjoy my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, put a lot of time in my videos, and once again, thanks for watching.